How's it going? You all right?
Happy days. How are you guys?
Very good, thank you. All the better for seeing you.
Oh, look at this. It's like meeting up like old times.
We got the band back together.
Yeah, exactly. How's things?
All good on this side. Obviously coming out of it was a bit quiet at the beginning of the month, but we're starting to see everything's picking up now, so it's a bit like quite a bit of relief around the place, I think.
Yeah,
exactly. How's it going for you? How's the new role?
Yeah, it's going really great. Yeah, busy. You know, I think it's like 1 month in now, like feet in. Gosh.
Was that what you in 1 month?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Right, they've took your Zoom backgrounds off you this time. What's that about? You don't have a jazzy one to join with this time.
Say that again.
I think last time we did this, you had a jazzy Zoom background on for the first 10 minutes.
Oh
didn't
yeah,
you?
You did, didn't
you?
you?
Now it's gone. Where is it?
Do you know what? I'll have to try and grab it for the next one then.
Give the audience what they want.
We want the diamond background, Michael.
The shiny diamonds.
Show us your jewels. Oh wait, that sounds wrong.
Cut that. This is for after dark. We're not using that now.
That's a perfect social cut for the marketer within me, by the way. So thanks, guys.
So, obviously, Michael, there's been a bit of change since we last spoke. You were at Williams, and now you've transitioned to Holland and Barrett.
Oh yes.
I know it's only been a month. How have you found it so far?
Do you know what? It's such a wild change. Like absolutely fantastic. It's retail side. You know, lots of stuff happening. And sort of definitely feet in first. I think in terms of obviously the current retail landscape has changed so much.
Yeah.
Well, it has had to change obviously with the pandemic, and we've seen the likes of Debenham struggling, obviously, but the Arcadia Group, and it's moving with the times.
Yeah.
And I think on the last session, I was talking about moving ahead and kind of getting to grips with the digital side and just making it all connect and piece together. And Holland and Barrett, there's a lot of stuff in the pipeline that's really exciting. That'll give the customers and consumers a lot of engaging tools to help them sort of engage and interact with the company, the brand, and also being able to effortlessly and seamlessly buy online. And it's all about bringing everything into the digital age. So that's kind of what we spoke about before, and making it all personalized. And enabling an easier form of use different multiple touch points and have those much more accessible.
So it's interesting because that's something we touched on last time, and literally I think that formed the base of the conversation. So it's interesting you've moved into a position now where I'm assuming that's going to be taking up the most of your time. Is it just making that transition or sort of helping that along?
Yeah. So I'm sort of one of many product managers. So I look after certain aspects of the website, not the entirety of it. So, but yeah, there's an awesome team, and it's bringing all the teams together to look at, the entire landscape of digital, and moving that forward. And there's definitely a lot on the plate, and it's picking the best bits and the bits that are going to work well, because I think there's always the tendency, isn't there, to kind of start chucking new stuff and new features on.
Yes.
You're going to say
completely.
Yeah, it's going to give us, I don't know, 25% growth or 50% growth. That's what the figures are saying. Let's get to that. But actually, depending on your market segment and your demographic, might not be the case, and it's always going to tweak and change. Yeah. And I think analytics and data plays a massive part. And you guys are sort of bigger quite into that as well, because I think you could deliver a social proof message, and it might not be the right design, it might not be the right message, and you might just need to tweak it a certain way whereby it really does engage, and sometimes changing the color, the tone, and how you present, and maybe even how long the social proof stays up for.
I was going to say timing across the board, I think, is been we've seen a big issue with, I mean, in the last couple of months, I think what some of our clients have been struggling with is not only timing of the messages and the timing of how they're implementing some of these tools, it's the timing of bringing a new feature into the mix as well. Sometimes something that doesn't work, say didn't work in January last year, might absolutely fly by implementing it in January this year. It might be to do with you've introduced email, it might be you've introduced more in the SEO or something like that. I think that's what we're starting to find now. It's the timing of getting things
100%,
right.
100%. It's the timing of getting it delivered. So when is the best time to deliver it? I mean, there's always time to get it delivered, but actually, with the amount of people, the stakeholders, and just logistically and operationally, you've got to time it all right. And I think sort of being on the retail side, you definitely appreciate the complexities involved, and I think, being on the vendor side or sort of agency side, they'd be, let's put it on, it'll give you this. But actually, it will give you the right results, but then it's keep on top of the result.
Yes, managing it.
Managing it and just making sure that you're adapting the changes to the consumer needs. And just like the high street, consumer will dictate the path and the journey. And this is why you need to keep analyzing the data. And I think sort of having, a team of data analysts is so key and crucial, because, developing and deploying new features, new functionality, it's fantastic, but you just need to keep on top of it and see where the customer's going, where are the journey, where are the hot touch points, where are the weak points, and what needs to be adapted to continually keep on hooking that customer and giving them, in essence, a wider view of your products and services.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's something we've been touching on in our sort of in our marketing recently. It's people sort of, if a client signed up with us for one thing, one feature, they don't tend to know about they might have a vague idea of what else we do, but they don't really know how that will strategically roll into what they're doing, so they don't have no idea how things work together. So I think it's really interesting you mentioned sort of giving the consumer the bigger picture, because it's not often something that is, we tend as digital sort of practitioners to try and hide a lot of the stuff that's going on in the background and sort of keep people really focused. But we have found recently a lot of people are more interested in the wider way of working. I think, as you touched on there, I think people are starting to get a lot more resource now in those digital teams. So you're starting to see people be more interested in the wider landscape of things, which is cool.
Yeah, and I think we saw definitely last year a huge growth of digital, didn't we? And
Crazy.
Everybody was just jumping on the commerce space, and it still is the space to be in, 100%, hands down.
Yeah,
and it's only just going to grow because the teams and the sizes within the retail space, they are getting a heck of a lot bigger than it's ever done before. They're really concentrating on focusing on merchandise, the merchandising side, the whole bundling. How can we promote our offers? Because there's hardly any people on the high street now, and it's all online. So how do we mimic that sort of brick and mortar to online, and what are the tools that are needed? And it's also looking at innovation. What are the new things that we can bring on to the board and really excite the customer and give them something new to hook in and stay into the brand. And sometimes it is about, we're talking about customer base, obviously, but it's also about education. And we talk about, also, previously before, we were talking about learnings, but actually it's educating all sides. So it's educating internally, the immediate teams, the wider business, and how that can be a positive change and has a really good effect within the operational activities, especially in increasing basket value, conversion rates, customer retention, loyalty, and bringing all that in, wrapping it all up to give that really good experience to the customer. And at the end of the day, the customer's also looking at other retailers out there,
of course,
and seeing, everyone has a preference, design for me is going to be a different design to you guys. So it's knowing, out of the majority, what do we need to go with, but also still cater for, the ones that have a slightly different path, a slightly different journey.
Yeah. So
I think we. Oh, sorry, Josh.
No, you go, Tim. Go on.
Yeah, I think we spoke about this previously as well, Michael, as you mentioned. And in the previous podcast, I think it was interesting from my side because we had your thinkings from like an agency level on how people should look at the site and what sort of features they should bash in and how things could look. But one of the key sort of elements that was brought across was almost that replication of the in-store experience, which we talked about, where you were talking about having like a personal shopper. Now, I spoke with the lads before this, Keelan and Josh, and they obviously mentioned that they buy vitamins and stuff like that. I, on the other hand, don't, because as you can see, peak physical fitness, no need for any of that. But the idea being is if I was to go on a Holland and Barrett site, I wouldn't have a clue what I was starting to look for. But when I go into the store, there's always somebody there like, what are you looking to buy to solve, sort of thing. Now, obviously being a product leader and that side of things, I don't know if this is your specific area, but I was wondering if this was something that was going to be incorporated or that customer element was looking to take more shape over the next year because of the world that we now live in as well.
Because that is one thing Holland and Barrett really do well in the retail space. I think every time I've been in, there's always someone there to guide you through stuff. 100%.
Yeah, and one of the things, I think like everybody does, when you join a new business, it's getting your head down and understanding the background and getting a feel for the whole business. Yeah. And one of the things that all of the staff members do within the group is to learn and understand the products, and offer the best advice to just make sure that they are selecting the right products for their needs. Mm-hmm. But we're not medical experts, so that's the other thing. So we're there to advise, but that's as far as we can go.
Right. Okay.
Now, in terms of the future, what does the landscape look like? One of the phrase, what is it? You do as you preach, I think it is. Is that right?
Practice as you preach.
Practice as you preach. That's the word. That's the phrase. So I think that's right. So, and it's true. That's kind of one of the interesting, exciting things that's happening is bringing in, let's call it a virtual, experience to the online digital landscape.
Yeah.
And offering that closer one-to-one interaction, because yes, the e-commerce website's great. It does its job. It fully functions. You can see where your order is, the amount, the quantity, and when you get your order delivered through. But actually, it's connecting closer to the customer and it's engaging with them on a much more visual one-to-one front as well. Loads of retailers are now doing that. It's definitely one of the hottest arenas in sort of the retail space. Mm-hmm. And a lot of vendors are sort of, they've never been busier.
Yes.
This side of, late 2020 and early 2021, purely because, this lockdown, what do they say? March, April time, it's going to extend potentially. Yeah. And it's getting that virtual, let's call it virtual in-store experience to the digital forefront and helping support the customer buying journey. Lots of customer engagement activities definitely happening.
So, and Tim touched on it earlier, but in regards to, it's quite rare we actually get someone from the retail side on. Normally, as you said, it's the vendors and the agencies and stuff. So to sort of pick your brain a little bit, what do you at the minute? What do you see as the biggest differences between the retail experience and the online experience? What would you say were a couple of the biggest differences?
Hell of a question.
I know it's quite a big question, but it's good to sort of get it from the other side sometimes.
Yeah, I would say, do you know what? I'm going to say flexibility.
Right. Okay.
So at the moment, we're all at work. Mm-hmm. 9 to 5, whatever times you got, Monday to Friday, and everyone's busy, you know. And at the moment, when can we go out? Lunchtime, very briefly, if you've got a good good chunk of time that you can take out.
Mm-hmm.
Early doors, but then if you go early doors, none of the shops are open anyway. And if you go late in the evening, your meetings are probably running late. You've got to catch up on bits and bobs. You've got family things to sort out, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say time is what you get back, because you can, at your own leisure, you can browse the website. You can decide when you want that one-to-one interaction.
Yeah.
Now, though, let's say you can go in store, which is fantastic, and it still is a destination, because you can talk to advisor, you can talk to a staff member, and look at the products that are on the shelf and actually feel and touch.
Yeah.
But I think sort of going digitally online, it gives you time back. You can sit on the sofa at home after work. You can sit on the sofa, even at a dining table, and look at your phone after dinner and just scroll through. And you're probably chatting to, wondering what to do for the upcoming weekend. Here's a great example. What I'm going to have. Oh, tell you what, fancy a bit of G&T.
Yeah.
But a non-alcoholic. And do you know what? One of the things that I didn't realise was, and it's only purely because of me. I've shopped in Holland and Barrett in stores, but I never went online until I sort of took this role. And I think one of the things is the whole food and drink. So you can, during discussions at the dining table, you can go, right, tell you what, let's have a look. Let's see what we've got. And you can pick some non-alcoholic drinks, get that ordered, get that delivered at your own leisure. But if you're not certain, you can book an appointment and talk about the different varieties, the brand, what does it, what have they got in terms of offerings, and maybe other alternative products as well, that I might not have looked at or even considered because I've never heard of XYZ, So I think it's time is definitely key. I mean, you could argue we've got all the time in the world because we're all working from home, or majority of us are.
Yeah.
But I think it's convenience is the big one. Having that convenience, having that ability to shop when you want to shop, and book that appointment when you want to talk to that specific staff advisor.
It's really interesting you say that specifically about flexibility, actually, because we've had a lot of people being in contact with. We did a webinar last week before. Yeah. And one of the biggest talking points in the chat was on-site flexibility. I think we mentioned it in the webinar, and just providing that flexibility for your customers. Yeah. And we were touching on it. Like you said, it's the time. It's all the potential for creative campaigns you've got. Like you said, put in the context of, do you know what? I fancy a drink. What could I have? Do you know what? I can't get this in the shop. I might need a vegan one. I might need a gluten-free one. All of a sudden, you're sat at your dinner table straight after dinner. That's another potential buying period. You could tap into all of these different scenarios, and you could do this with basically with a marketing campaign. What you're doing, you create inspiration, but you're doing it through context, aren't you? So it's amazing when we talk about flexibility like this. What is the potential for this type of thing going forward? Is crazy, especially flexibility in payments. Like, see the Klarna box behind you, for example. There's so many different payment gateways out there now providing. How many ways can you pay for something right now? When you check out, you've got 5 or 6 different options. How are you going to do it? There's so many, and again, this all comes back to understanding your customers, and knowing your customers, and figuring out, where do we, and what do we need to do to make sure that we do hook in and engage with the right people. Be it sort of net new or existing customers. I mean, there could be dormant customers. Every retailer has dormant customers. It doesn't matter what it is. I've done the same when I buy stuff. I will sometimes just go to a site because it's cheaper. Yeah. And then I'll buy that one thing, and then that'll be it. But I'll know that it's slightly cheaper, or they've got some other product that I've not seen before. Yeah. But that's only positive, because then I've not seen it elsewhere at another place. So I think, it kind of gives really good scope to really help support the customer journey. It's far more crucial now than it's ever been before. Yeah. Because, we've got, you can ring up customer services, you can email, you can browse the website. But actually, what's that extra bit? What do we need?
to just get closer, and be the source of truth. That's another thing that we spoke about as well, wasn't it?
It's really important, yeah. Never been more important than it is now. I think it's really interesting what you say about getting your customers right and making sure that segmentation's right. Because I think people are still, not speaking for everybody, we do come across a few examples. People still see sort of segmentations of customers as purely for email marketing, purely for just, are we going to send a picture of a boot or are we going to send a picture of a handbag to this person? Do you know what I mean? People haven't really started to take up the idea of using that in the actual customer journey as well.
Yeah.
I think
and personalization, segmentation, huge, absolutely gigantic, because back in the day, it was very much a case of, let's build a marketing strategy, let's build an email marketing campaign. Let's just fire that out to all of our customers.
Yeah.
And do you know what? And I still get some of that now through my own personal mailbox. And I just think, that's not for me. I'm not interested. Delete. Simple as that. But if it is personalized, I'm definitely far more tempted and far more likely going to engage and click on that link, because it is something that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And I think what's quite funny, and I think the world that we live in, we know what we can capture in terms of information and data. And data is what drives retail space. Period.
Yeah, completely.
And with that data, we can really start honing in to really minutiae requirements. And maybe something that I didn't even realize, through my purchasing journey, through my activities online, not just within a specific website, but throughout every single touch point of online, including the mobile phone that that's sat on my desk. It's capturing all that information, and making sure that we offer the right engagement touch point that I use on a regular basis, and rather than trying to funnel me to a different direction, So for me, for example, I've definitely not been to the city centre since lockdown. Well, no, do you know what? I've not been to the city centre since, I'm actually going to say early February 2020, which is absolutely crazy. I've probably driven through on the outskirts of the city. Yeah. I could probably count it 5 times.
Wow.
And that's because I needed to get to a specific store that I had to drive into town. I mean, it's not far from me.
Yeah.
But I had to do that. But again, with the whole current situation at the moment, I'd rather not, just purely because, I can do everything here. I'd rather
completely.
just do it here,
It's an interesting one, that one. It's how, I read an article the other day about the daily commute sort of being almost extinct. And the other thing is, though, I mean, this lockdown's been quite different. And part of the article was speaking about the drop in emissions during lockdown 1, where it literally bottomed out, the lowest emissions we've ever had as a country for how many years.
Yeah.
But this one supposedly hasn't really dropped. It's sort of kept alive.
There's an interesting thing on this as well, because I think it's different per city. So as Michael says, he's in and around Leicester and he can get around the city, do what he wants to do there. But then I was speaking to a chap who was in London the other day, and he said the tube's never been busier. Like, you still can't sit down on it. You still stood up.
Crazy, isn't it?
People are still going into, obviously, work or from wherever they are, and it's like, I don't get it really. But as you say, that convenience element, when we can all work from home being digital, we probably take for granted as well, because we can sit here and log onto a Zoom or log onto a Hangouts and work collaboratively in a Google Drive and do all this side of things. But like, other industries don't have this, and other people probably aren't aware of the stuff that's out there to support them in a buying journey as well. So
that's it as well. That's that's on us at that point, I think, as vendors and bits of tech. We need to be on point with the education of things. It's not all about branding after this point. I think there's got to be a huge focus on product this year.
100%.
For us and for other companies as well.
100%. And it's making companies aware, what's on offer. How can it be of benefit, and how can it be of benefit, to the business, to the customer, and how can that, be attributed to basically increased sales? So at the end of the day, that's what everybody wants. How can we start driving that all important conversion, increased basket value, and in store? I mean, I did actually, because I ended up taking that kind of gin only because my other half is non-alcoholic. So, so I actually went sort of to town just to have a quick goosey gander to kind of see what's about. And if I hadn't have done that, I don't think I would have bought what I bought, purely because I could see the products. And it is mimicking that kind of I guess you could call it a visual journey, and showing sort of businesses and retailers out there, how your offering can help support that sort of mechanism of engagement.
That's interesting.
Through start to finish.
It's when you're thinking about it like that, there's a number of products that I will buy online, sort of more topping up things that I would never have gone for had I not purchased it in a store at some point in my life previously.
Yeah, and it's really bizarre. I mean, could I have done it online? Yes,
you could.
I could have. Actually, why didn't I? It was only because they ran out of stock online. So I then thought, and I didn't call the store. I just thought, I'm gonna quickly nip in.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make it a thing. It's a good excuse just to quickly nip out, for a quick 20 minutes, half an hour, to do some shopping, and then come back. And do you know what? I actually got what I needed plus more, and it was all associated products.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, in terms of my increased basket value, it worked out better for me to kind of go in store. But we need to bring that, to online. But I think the retail space, it's never been a great success for the ones that have made it work, for the ones that have already engaged and looked at the whole personalization piece. So I think it's only going to go on or upwards. I think the sort of virtual in stores, like I say, they're just so busy at the moment. And that's going to be a key driving thing, and personalizing the conversation as well, rather than just, like I say, at the beginning, let's just send out a mass mailer.
Batch and blast, people are they're so much more savvy now to that type of technique as well. I think it does more harm in the long run a lot of the time.
It gets annoying, doesn't it? You just think, oh, unsubscribe, forget it.
Yeah, it's almost that you feel it's sort of someone's not really respecting your time. They've sort of thought, I'm a number in here. Don't get me wrong, obviously with all these sort of campaigns, someone is at the end of the day a bit of data on a CRM or something. Mm-hmm. Horrible to admit, but I guess it is what it is. But at least take the time to provide them with something of use. I mean, at least make the effort.
But make the effort and get the data right. And understand what products you've got. How can you leverage that product from merchandising level, from promotional level, from a bundling aspect, and how can we help support my journey?
Yes, support is a great term to keep in mind for this type of thing, I think.
Yeah, and you'll always get the skeptical buyers online. Oh, they're tracking me. I don't like this. I'm going to delete everything. Well, guess what? You're using email. You're using social.
On your phone,
You're using your phone. You're getting tracked. Period. If you don't want to use it, get off digital. It's 100%. That's the only way to do it nowadays.
Somebody tweeting about a vaccine, putting a tracker inside them from the phone.
That was amazing, wasn't it? I can only remember I can't remember which film it was, back in the 80s, I think it was. And there was these little microchips that had legs that looked like spiders, and they would crawl into you and then embed themselves in your body. I can't remember which film it was. It still freaks me out because I hate spiders.
Especially little robot ones.
Yeah, I'll have to try and find it. I'll have to email you.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll tell you what the maddest thing in all this is. You're talking about this like in a jokey way. Well, I'm dealing with relatives who go, well, it's so funny though, because Bill Gates wants to know what I'm doing. And they go like, no, Grandma, Bill Gates doesn't want to know that you shop at M&S and you buy bread and stuff. Not asked. He couldn't ask. This was 2 weeks ago, and she's still telling me that this stuff's real. But
you should have asked her when the last time she used Bing was.
Oh. again, the kind of thing I'm looking at here is though, if someone popped up in an email to her and went, "We think you may also like," she'd turn around and no doubt be like, "How the hell do they think this? What's this about?" And it'd confuse the life out of her.
And it's our job to educate them, to educate your grandma as well. To be fair, at some level, we have to take some responsibility for it.
Oh, talking about your grandma. How's your with Tim? How's your dad's online purchases going?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, he's an absolute weapon now.
I don't know whether we have to cut that.
You know, I've introduced him into the world of, you'll know this as well, Michael, our title highlight feature we have, where you can go on, literally copy the product title and try and put it in Google for cheaper.
Love it.
Try to tell him about this, and he was like, "Why would I do that though when I know it's cheaper here?" I was like, "You don't know this. What are you on about? Like, are you Google shopping? How do you know this? Go away." Honestly, he's a confusing man, but we're starting on the education piece, so...
I love it. Do you know what? That just needs to be a running theme now.
It actually does, doesn't it?
Just give us an update.
I think that's what we'll do. As we have, when we have Michael on, we'll get an update from your dad first and foremost, I think.
He was amazed the other day. He's a big fan of Top Cashback as well, and that, because he's like, yeah, I've got this here, and he's like,
oh well, he knows about. He has some idea then.
Yeah, he has no idea on how it works, so he just sits there going, "Why are they doing this?" He just sees money coming from it and goes, "All right, yeah." But the key thing was the other day, he was like, "So and so I'm on Top Cashback, so how am I going to get this discount?" And he was like, and then he actually pointed out the fact that if I put something in my basket and leave it and go to leave the site, will it ping me an email? And I was like, whoa.
He's learning. One of those little robot spiders might have got into him.
Yeah, you should say to your dad, "Dad, you got that friendly spider in the top corner of your living room." Yeah, he's listening out for you.
Yeah, that's Bill Gates. That just sat at home watching.
Get the discount code, Andrew. You need it. 10% off at Wilco's now. Get it.
I'll tell you what. There's definitely on my web browser. I've got a few of the discount plugins, because I think there's, what is there? There's Quick Codes, Top Cashback.
Like honey, is it?
Honey,
yeah. Voucher codes, that's another one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there's some others as well. I know there's a few American ones as well. And every time we go onto a website, ping, get this discount. But actually, what's really interesting, you can see the discount difference from one discount provider to another one. Mm-hmm. They're not all the same as well. So actually, you end up going onto the website, whichever site it is, and go, do I go with voucher codes? Do I go with Quidco? Whichever one. So yeah, I think like I said, I think customers are getting definitely far savvier. But it gives us as consumers, I guess, you could argue, greater buying power. Because it isn't particularly or necessarily down to where you buy the goods from, i.e. in terms of the store, but at the same time, if the retailer has a great overall review, has great company branding, has got really good sort of engagement, and has the trust and the knowledge that goes with it, and seen as a confident retailer, then you are more than likely to buy it than someone that's going to buy it or sell it really cheap, and they're not trusted, and obviously you're not going to buy through them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it kind of comes in two different prongs, doesn't it? And I guess the overarching thing throughout all of this, is knowledge, trust, confidence.
Trust and confidence is a huge one.
Yeah, and supporting as well. I
think the average consumer now is coming to expect this type of personalization as well. Perfect example, Tim. Your dad going to buy something and going, "Hang on, they haven't offered me something here. Why is that?" Mm-hmm. I think people are fully coming to expect it, that level of personalization in everything they're doing online now.
I think as well, because his experience is based on buying from Amazon initially, and that's where he centers everything on, and they do it so well with, as you say, the recommendation side of things. But Michael's touched on something massive there. Like, you can buy vitamins and stuff like that on Amazon, but would I want to buy them off Amazon? Because I don't know if they're 100% kosher. I don't know if they're bob on the money. Whereas if I'm going to Holland and Barrett, it's being sourced correctly. It's the real deal, and it's going to provide some benefit. Yeah. So again, that's where as well consumer intelligence needs to tap into. Yeah, the price is cheaper over here, but Holland and Barrett will give me this level of service. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people are tapping into that, and as I say, learning about ways in which reviews work and the ways in which a brand is built. But making the most of that and then not going in the fight to the bottom that is Amazon is the other part of that leverage as well.
Yeah, which I mean, there is an argument for that fight, and there's people who do that very well as well. It's brand position, I suppose. It's an interesting one. 100%. Tim said there. So, Michael, in regards to sort of replicating the in-store experience online, I know we bang on about it quite a bit. Is there anything Holland and Barrett are picking up this year, and what features are you sort of looking at getting up and running on that? Is there anything in the pipeline?
Oh, I can't reveal all my secrets. That'll be I'll have to kill you.
So watch this space essentially.
Watch this space, yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. There's, I guess, one of the great things with I guess what I do now is experimentation. Okay. let's give something a go.
That's interesting.
Let's try stuff out, and not be afraid to, I guess, challenge the norm.
Yeah,
I guess it's always a good phrase, isn't it? Through all of 2 decades plus worth of digital commerce experience, hence no hair. It's bringing that to the forefront and actually looking at all of the experiences and all the different regions and going, do you know what? These are X, Y, Z that I've implemented before. Let's give those a try. Now, one of the things is, like I say, experimentation. That's one of the great things with business. There's always lots of new initiatives happening. I think last year, it was in October, November, there's an in-store thing that was rolled out. And I can't remember what it was now, but it's definitely around sort of looking at supporting digitally the customer's experience from store when they go in. And if that's a success, that could potentially get rolled out site-wide, across. There's I think there's about 1,500 to 2,000 stores countrywide. So huge potential there.
Absolutely.
And I think with that mindset of trying something new, and there's also another saying. Gosh, I've got quite a few phrases today. I'm on fire. Not that I'm getting the words in the right way, but I'm on fire. Never be afraid to fail. Learn from your failures. And actually, to be honest, if you look at how we succeed because we all fail in some aspects, whatever it is. And it could be something major, it could be a big life failure. It could be a business failure. It could be, business being sort of in work. And it doesn't matter how small or how large, but all of that compounds to a massive learning. And it's taking that learning to say, hey, actually, this is the best approach. That's what, we do right now, is take the learnings, take the experiments. Where do we need to go from those, from the data?
Yeah.
And how do we adapt it? And do we deploy it site-wide? If we don't, then fine, that's okay. But at least you give it a go.
Yes.
I think there's nothing more than if you don't give it a go, you just don't know.
Completely agree.
Hey, that rhymes.
There you go.
We've got the new Eminem in the chat now. Here we go.
We can do like a drum and bass remix of that, I think.
I don't know what the house put in my tea. I think just put something in my tea.
Maybe some of that gin.
Placebo effect. Here we go.
It's really interesting. Speaking about failure, I think there's been a couple of occasions where, probably me personally, work-wise, been so scared of something failing that it's ended up being so bland it's not really done much. But you always think it's so much, and you're so scared of it not working that you look at it and you're like, do you know what? That doesn't really sit. That's not the best piece of work I've ever done.
Do you know what? It's also having a great support. We've all got
true.
Outside of work, we've got a great network of friends. It doesn't matter how big your network is. You just got a bunch of mates, or you could just have one best buddy, or that you talk to, that you just message, and just that, especially now, just to see you through, this entire crazy thing that we're all in. And I think if you have that support, also sort of, work-wise, you can just start driving things forward and know that what you're putting forward will hopefully make a positive impact. and
Yeah.
that's what I do with any business I join, not just H&B, but sort of previous businesses as well. There's always gains to be had, and it's understanding what's been done before, what were those top level learnings, and what can I do to make it better, or suggest an alternative, a new possibility, a new avenue.
I think for me, what makes it easier to sort of deal with the prospect of something failing is if beforehand I have an idea of what we could potentially learn from it. So if we have a metric on what the type of things we can get an idea of after, say, does it hit the rocks, I think that makes it much easier for me to push forward with something. But again, you're right, support as well. Someone just going, nah, just do it, it's fine. It, again, could be the difference between going ahead with it and shelving something for me. Literally that one person just saying, yeah, go on, mate, it looks all right to me, yeah, let's do it.
And you need sort of, the backing of the entire business, or definitely the business the stream that you work in, and getting that all important buy-in. And actually, that's a good point, because we're talking about the customer facing side, aren't we?
Yeah.
And actually, it's the internal side of stuff. It's the internal engagement, it's the internal confidence, and just telling that story as well, of what it means and what can we get out of said solution, said strategy, experiment, and what will it bring. But if it fails, or if it's not a massive success, that's fine. You've given it a go. It then doesn't work for the business. So let's re-angle, let's re-pitch, and adapt. And this neatly actually hooks in right at the very beginning to where retailers haven't succeeded or haven't done so well. It's because they haven't adapted and shaped accordingly to the environment that we're all sitting in. And I mean, it's really sad to see, the high street isn't what it is anymore. I hate to think what sort of my city centre looks like. I've seen pictures on, in the papers, quote unquote, online. But it's going to be weird because, there's been a lot of high street store closures, small businesses, medium, large retailers. It doesn't matter, just retail in general. It's hard work. It's definitely hard work. But, it's not going to be the answer for everybody, digital. But you definitely have to shape and adapt, definitely.
I think that is a perfect place to leave it as well. So thanks, Michael, again. We'll get this up and running. We'll get you on in the next couple of months, I think. Catch up, see where we are.
Always full of good points, isn't he? Useful.
I know, I enjoyed that one.
I'm going to get my missus to make me my tea. This is her mug as well.
I want your missus to make my tea, I think, moving forward. Amazing. Thank you very much, guys.
That's all right. Great stuff. Thanks a lot.
Speak soon, Michael.
Cheerio. Bye.